All right, Nick and Andy, Chelsea against Tottenham Hotspur, big London derby. This one is always a thriller. It seems there's always crazy games and goals, and you name it happens in this game. Chelsea scrapping for the Champions League qualification spots. Spurs, I think it's all about pride right now for them. Nick, your thoughts first. What do you expect from this game? Because as I said, generally there's chaos. Generally, nobody knows what to expect from this game.
Yeah, general debauchery, lots of fighting. This is one of those things where I remember almost viscerally. You can feel when this rivalry returned. There was a scrap on the touchline, and then every game since has had some sort of element of that, despite a change of managers, a change of personnel, seemingly ever present. I don't remember the last time you might look at these teams and say, "Oh, this has been 2 or 3 times that the same bosses and players were on each side." All that said, I need to know who's playing for Chelsea. There's some weird little injuries that have cropped up, some guys who have been out for a bit and might be ready to go. And that changes things quite a bit because at full strength at home, the way Tottenham Hotspur have looked, perhaps, I don't like using this term for an Ange team, but maybe a little predictable, as Andy's pointed out a few times. I don't necessarily love it for Spurs.
Andy, you agree with that? I mean, Chelsea just kind of been hanging in there, right? Getting some results, not looking great, but they're still up there in the Champions League spots. They have really missed Nicholas Jackson while he's been out, and Noni Madueke. Cole Palmer's been missing recently as well. So you take all those players out of their team, obviously they're going to struggle going forward. Looked a bit clunky, poor defensive mistakes at times. I guess just a bit sluggish, but they're still there, right? And I think they're still ahead of where we all expected them to be this season. So going to Chelsea, especially in this rivalry game, it's not easy for anybody. And I don't know. It just seems like it's stacked in their favor to get a positive result here. What do you think?
Yeah, I do. Chelsea probably right about. They've taken a different path than I think we probably thought they would have taken this season to get to about probably the same place that they should have been, given what they've spent and the team that they've put together and the fact that it's a first season for a new coach. And so nothing seems too out of sorts there. Everything seems out of sorts over at Spurs right now. And Nick is right. I have come around to a point of, and they can still win with Ange. But there is a predictability to the way that Spurs attack, and it's based on patterns. And it's very easy for me, not a very smart person, to sit at home and watch these games and see exactly how they're going to try and build up or how they're going to try and counter. And so certainly teams that study tape and drill and train and prepare for these games all week see it as well. And I think we've seen other Premier League teams especially kind of figure it out a little bit and say, okay, well, we're not going to give you that. That Spurs have to get the ball out wide to one of the fullbacks. If they're overlapping, they're going to play what seems like a pretty low percentage dangerous ball out to one player who is supposed to attract 2 defenders to him and has to take almost a perfect one-touch pass forward back into the midfield or forward on the wing to beat those 2 players. And I understand this is how you pull defenders out of space and you create opportunities for transition moments without being in transition. And that's what Ange wants to do. But man, when it's not working, they have nothing. And so I worry. And I think that is, it's not so much that they're too attacking and they can't defend, but when that doesn't work and that falls apart and you lose the ball, then you are really out of position. And then you're the one that's pulled yourself out of position and put yourself in a bad spot. And so there is a level of predictability that I think Dejan Kulusevski helps with a little bit because he is a little bit unpredictable. And I think he has the freedom to kind of freelance a little bit within the team, but he's been out the last few weeks. And so it's looked really, really strained from Spurs. You say they're playing for pride in the Premier League the rest of the season. Yeah, I agree. But I also think there's a number of players that need to be playing for their place at the club next season because, individually speaking, a lot of guys have let themselves down a little bit this season, even in the good times, if there have been many of those for Spurs. And so, yeah, I think there's going to be a real honest assessment coming in the summer, not just for Ange, but I think the squad as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously all the focus is on the Europa League for Spurs now, all in on that. They're 14th in the Premier League table. Looking back, 4 wins in the last 17 games in the Premier League. I mean, we know they've had injuries. We get it. It's been tough, but sort of the expectations, Nick, for the rest of the season. I mean, we know Europa League's the focus, but surely Spurs have to show us a little bit more. And like Andy said, certain players have to step up and basically prove that they're good enough to be at Tottenham Hotspur and prove that they can be given another chance next season. And that's what you want to see, right, if you're a Spurs fan?
Yeah, and it also feels like that these players could potentially be at career crossroads. And I'll point out a James Maddison. Are you a very good player, or are you a consistent who is sometimes great, or can you be that way every week? Are you an absolute difference maker? And that's not just to pick on him, because I think there are 5, 6, 7 guys in that squad that you might be analyzing that about. But I'd also would like to go back at how jumbled up this has been from the start for them because of the injuries. And there are so many players that, I mean, geez, how many months ago we were talking about Mickey Van de Ven looking like he could potentially be, an all-timer of a signing. So they do kind of just need a reset. They've just got to decide who can be part of that reset.
What about Chelsea? I mean, for this game, we said it before, they could be missing some key attacking players, but do you expect them to win, Nick? And what is your thoughts on if they do qualify for the Champions League, which looks, like it could happen given what we've seen so far this season? That would be a great first season for Maresca, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. They've been pretty decent at home. They dropped points to Palace and Forest, but the losses, Fulham and Man City, everyone else is a win. I think they're kind of a team that gets what you're expecting out of them. There'll be games where Jackson or Palmer does something magnificent, so maybe they overcome the odds a little bit. But for the most part, you show up to a game and you picture, all right, should Chelsea win this or should they lose this? And they've kind of followed that line, and that's been good enough in this not down Premier League, but inconsistent Premier League where everybody's good. That's been good enough to be a top 4 team. So I kind of expect this to go Chelsea's way over time. But again, this is truly a sort of derby that's been unpredictable in the sense where, these are heavyweight boxers.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Chelsea. I think that seems about right to me. Andy, do you agree with that? I just think where Spurs are at right now, I mean, the performance against Fulham before the break was pretty woeful. And it was like the kind of performance that summed up all the problems you're talking about being slow in the build-up, predictable, then vulnerable on the counter. And watching Chelsea a lot this season, that is one area I think we don't talk about enough with them. That, yeah, the possession's great, the movement's great under Maresca, but they can really hurt you on the counter-attack with a couple of passes, and the fact that they can roll in a whole new attack usually on the 60-minute mark and be fresh and the tempo stays high. So I do worry about Spurs, particularly in the second half of this game. But that's my prediction. What's yours, mate?
Yeah, neither of these teams are good enough right now to dictate how a game is going to be played to their opponent. So it will be very interesting to see what they do with one another. Like you say, Joe, before the break, I mean, Spurs got Fulhamed in that game. Fulham have done that to everybody this season. They have been very under the radar, very good at playing Marco Silva ball. And Chelsea got the same against Arsenal, but they put up a 0.36 XG against the Gunners. And so they could easily score 3 goals in this game just because of some of the inadequacies that I talked about with Spurs already. But at the same time, I could see it going the other way. Genuinely anything is on the table in this game. So I'll go with the 2-2 where, probably both are happy and a little bit unsatisfied at the end, but probably a fair reflection on, not just the game, but kind of where the teams are in a transitional moment, I guess, right now.
And Nick, you're going with Chelsea, right?
Yeah, 2-1.
2-1. All right. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest on this huge London derby. Always feisty, this one. How to watch information, highlights, reaction, and much more. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk. We'll have you covered for this big London derby.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, and as we head towards the end of an exciting Premier League season, make sure you like and subscribe on the NBC Sports YouTube channel for more content like this.